welcome back to the teaching series on the law of rewards. My name is John Johnson, and today we're going to talk about what determines our rewards. Now, if you want to turn to Mark 12, we're going to be turning there in just a minute. But before I talk about Mark 12, I want to give you a hypothetical. Say two people come to me for financial advice. Maybe I'm a financial advisor. One is a woman well established in her career. She's got the promotion, she's got the time, she's living comfortably, but she comes to me and says, I've just been saving and I've got enough saved up, but I'm looking to the future and I want to retire comfortably. Once I retire, I want to travel, I want to help out in ministry. I want to not have to worry about where my next paycheck is coming from. I want to just set myself up for that. Maybe diversify, maybe get into real estate, maybe somewhere where I can earn dividends on this money. All well and good, right? That seems really wise. Now, a second person comes up to me. Maybe it's a young man. He's just starting out on the career, very low on the chain. He hasn't even got a budget, really. But he comes to me and just says, hey, I know I should be doing stuff with my money, but I just started this new job and I love God. He's totally blessed me. I want to give my whole paycheck to God and then figure out what I need to do after that. Now, if you're thinking, let's help this guy out. Let's maybe tell him to be reasonable. Let's not be too hasty. That's really good. God sees your heart. He loves that about you, but let's really get practical and help him out. The Bible actually gives two characters as an example in these two cases. Turn to Mark 12. I'm going to be reading verse 41 through 44. And Jesus is in this story. Sitting across from the temple treasury, he watched how the crowd dropped money into the treasury. Many rich people were putting in large sums, and a poor widow came and dropped in 2 tiny coins worth very little. Summoning his disciples, he said to them, I assure you, this poor widow has put in more than all those giving to the temple treasury, for they all gave out of their surplus. But she, out of her poverty, has put in everything she has possessed, all she had to live on. Now, turn to Luke 12, verse 20 through 21. Luke 12, 20 through 21. Actually, I'm going to read it starting in verse 16. Then he told them a parable. A rich man's land was very productive. He thought to himself, what should I do since I don't have anywhere to store my crops? I will do this, he said. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones and store all my grain and my goods there. Then I'll say to myself, you have many goods and stored up for many years. Take it easy, eat, drink, and enjoy yourself. But God said to him, you fool, this very night your life is demanded of you. And the things you have prepared, whose will they be? That's how it is with the one who stores up treasure for himself and is not rich toward God. Now here's 2 stories of 2 people in different life stages, 2 different financial situations. Jesus points to one as if to say, follow her example. This is wisdom. And in the other story, there's a different situation and God says, you fool. Now this is not about salvation, but about wisdom. God, in his wisdom, he sees both the hearts and has the vantage point of eternity to take into consideration. Now, how about us? How is our giving in light of eternity? Wisdom is looking through eternity's lens as we give. What we give will be rewarded for all of eternity. But what we keep will be spent, consumed, or be left behind when we die. And that's what the law of rewards is. While faith determines our eternal destination, our behavior determines our eternal rewards. Now, think back to Mark 12 with Jesus and this widow. It says he sat down across from the treasury. Now, I kind of imagine, 30 feet away. But he's close enough to notice what's in this woman's hand and what type of coins they are. That's actually pretty close. I can't see that from 30 feet away. That's more like, 10, 15 feet. I don't know how close he was. But it should make us all feel a little awkward when he's watching this widow. He's watching the rich people go by and maybe giving a nod like, oh, okay. But then here comes this widow, and she might be embarrassed. He says, hey, disciples. Hey, come look at this. She is given more. And you're almost like, shh. Is money our business? Shouldn't Jesus get off of our business? I think it's actually God's business. What we do with our money is not for us to decide. It's God's money. It's God's business. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 10, it says, "For we must all appear before the tribunal of Christ, so that each may be repaid for what he has done in the body, whether good or worthless." Now this is the judgment seat of Christ. And that usually means, fear and trembling type stuff. But for those of us who have been saved, this is where we get our rewards. This should be exciting. What do you want to be rewarded with on that day? I will say, if you give more, you'll get more. If you give less, you get less. And the conversation might go on when you meet somebody new in heaven. Maybe they'll ask you, so what did you get to do with what God entrusted you on earth? What do you want to answer them? Do you want to say, well, I gave a little bit consistently and I got this reward? Or do you want to say, I gave consistently and I gave extra and I got this reward? What do you want to say? Now, over the course of these lessons, I'm going to give 8 principles. And the whole theme of it is the law of rewards, but I have 8 principles. And the first one I'm going to talk about today is reward principle number 1. Giving brings greater blessing than receiving. And when you think about eternity in this light, what the widow does makes sense. And what the rich man does not make sense. Why store up all this treasure on earth for it just to pass away and you don't get anything for eternity? My last thought is we're really robbing ourselves when we think about what could have been rewarded had we given what we could have. Thanks for joining me today. God bless.